Do I need to do that again? Okay, we're ready? Meeting is called to order. Roll call. We're missing, you have a roll call? You're taking roll call tonight, I assumed, since you're sitting there. All right. Motion to approve the December 7th agenda. Motion by Wagner, second by Augustine. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we now have, you notice we have, okay. Approve November 9th, 2020 meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Poppy, second by Haskey. Discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public comment? Does anyone wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak? No public comment. Administrators report?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Feld did put together a personnel report in the packet. Looks like Cameron Kittle was hired starting November 14th. Brianna Carlson was also hired as lead Jill Cook starting December 1. Cameron Kittle was going to be a temporary parks worker. Looks like they're recruiting for parks caretaker, a radio operator jailer list. They paused a social worker, and they're also looking for winter park assistants. If you have some family friends that are coming home from college and looking for some work to do, Dave Myers would be happy to take them. So I will put that plug out there for Dave. Involves some evenings and some days and so forth, but I think they pay a decent wage. I can't remember.
It's just about 12 bucks an hour, I think, from the paper, 11.83, Scott? No, you don't read the paper. Yes?
I read the paper, but I can't tell you what it was.
I want to say, I don't quote me
It's
to the,
not the job that I was looking for.
don't, no, you didn't, decided not to apply, John?
Yeah.
Not
Don't,
qualified.
don't quote me to the penny, but I know because, we were recently filling a position, and so I was thinking, what's the county doing paying that kind of money?
Well, it's hard to find folks during that winter break. So if you get some hardworking kids, it's a good job. Dave's a good guy to work for, so give it a shot.
College kids coming home, and
Yeah.
especially this year,
Mhm.
lots of them even they're doing college virtually, so they can do it from home if they've got a decent Wi-Fi connection. I have to throw that out there because
It's hard to do winter
so
park.
frustrated. I had a meeting again the other day that I could only attend part of it, and even my phone just gets disconnected. I am just fit to be tied about this thing.
Well, help is on the way with that, but
I know.
it's going to be months before that's going. Not to get off of the subject, but Supervisor Yankee, Winter Park, is all of that going to be able to be in operation? I mean, assuming that there is snow. I mean, they'll none of the COVID won't stop the tubing or any of that, or do they have to wipe down with Clorox wipes between each run? What can you tell us?
Well, there's all kinds of reservations for the hill already.
Oh,
And
very good.
once the temperature gets cold enough, and it's pretty close to making a lot of snow, and
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
it's
So
a
they'll
go
be able-
otherwise.
They'll be able to operate.
And the ice rink should be operational if they can get water pumped into it.
Okay. Will
Looking
masks
for
be
electricians?
will masks be required on the hill? Tubing hill?
Dave did send me a draft safety plan. I must confess that I didn't pay that close of attention to it. It was primarily for Cindy's reading pleasure, but I was CC'd in on it. But I know the plan is to open. I know they did come up with some ideas to be somewhat safe
No,
about
that's
it.
good.
But the plan is we're gonna be a go.
Wonderful. I know Supervisor Mastler was wanting to race me down that big hill when they open.
You show up, I'll show up, and we'll both go.
Yeah, and we'll both bring.
Otherwise, I'll tell you what, on Sundays, you come out there and you can help the Lions and
There we go. And we'll both
we'll run the.
bring our health insurance cards.
Oh, yeah.
So, anything else under administrator's report?
I think that covers it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We'll move on then to help desk specialist compensation. This was brought up to me again, and there's still at least confusion. Um, so, based on feedback I was getting in discussion, I thought, okay, we'll bring this back again for further clarification, and if there needs to be action or if we wish to defer or whatever, we can do that too. But given the feedback I was getting, even from some of the supervisors with the lack of clarity, I thought that we would bring this back again for further clarification. So, Ross, explain this as precisely and simply as possible.
Okay, so first, I want to apologize for bringing this back a third time. There was a lot of, it seems like a lot of confusion in regards to what the first request was and what my second request was. Um, so I'm just here simply to have this committee look at doing a pay range adjustment to the current help desk specialist position. This is not the new position. This is not what we're looking at doing with GIS or any of those type of things. It's just our current help desk position. Um, so there was some confusion that, you know, when I first originally made the request in September, that I simply asked, I said, can we take a look at the help desk position, because it's about $2 and roughly 85 cents below average starting wage compared to the 16 counties that I polled. So we're quite a bit below starting wage for this position.
What is our starting wage?
So our starting wage right now presently is 19.51 an hour. That is starting step one of our current pay plan. So the average, if the 16 counties that I polled, there was 5 or 6 of those counties that what we considered peer counties that Administrator Felt asked me to look. They're the ones that are the most comparable to us. With those included, with all of this other 16, the average starting wage for a help desk specialist is $22.92, and we start at 19.51. So as you could tell, we're way below average of a starting help desk position, which is it's an educated position. It's something you go to school for, type thing. So well, I'll consider it a professional position.
What are these averages based on? I mean, average of all counties, or I didn't catch that. What average of
Basically,
which counties?
I have a list here. I mean, it goes from, well, Grant, Vernon, Jackson, Iowa, Green Lake, Waushara, Dodge, Wapaka, Sheboygan, Winnebago, Outagamie, Calumet, Oconto, Shawano, Marinette, Manitowoc, Brown, Dorr.
Okay.
Those are the counties that I pulled. And those were the average step one. What they considered on their pay plans was step one of that range. So it was roughly around $22.90 or $22.92 an hour. So basically, what my request was in September is that we could make an adjustment there to to that current position. I know there was some talk about keeping the where could we fit that in on the current pay scale that we have now. And roughly, I think we agreed that we would put him it's somewhere around 22.77 an hour, which puts him on step 13 of that plan. Well, I thought if we were going to do this properly and correctly, I gave in your packets. I gave this information to Administrator Felt. He put together uh, pay plan, step plan for the help desk position on those numbers. And that's what you have in front of you, where we would start step one at 22.33 an hour instead of 19.51. So I guess my request tonight would be to consider adopting this new pay plan schedule for the help desk position and placing this individual on that step plan wherever you guys see fit. If that's step one, we could do step one.
And then, regardless of whatever action or inaction would be taken tonight, we would still be taking up the GIS.
Correct. Sometime I figured January, February, March timeframe, we would come back to the committee and talk about a pay plan schedule for the new merged position and talk more about that. I just didn't want to bring that into the conversation tonight because I wanted to try to keep it as simple as possible.
So, a few options here tonight that this committee can take up. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Maybe just to clarify it, as we talk about the help desk, would you just give a real short synopsis of what are the duties of that help desk?
Sure.
The help desk
So a help desk specialist is primarily the boots on the ground. They're the ones that go around to the workstations, install new software. If a user calls us and has an issue with their machine, they would be first response. And very similar to if you call something on your machine or your AT&T and you have an issue with a bill or you have an issue with your service, and the first people on the ground try to resolve it. If they can't resolve it, they bump it up to the next tier. So a help desk is that first tier that you go through, and they do all kinds of different duties by setting up users. They take care of viruses. They minor network issues, software glitches, reinstalls, those type of duties.
So when Supervisor Romden's Commodore 64 goes down, this is the guy that tries to get it
Don't
up
call
and running.
us.
No, don't call them. Exactly.
Supervisor Wagner.
Yeah, I guess for just a little bit of feedback here, Ross, or history also, I guess, years ago, we used to contract for this stuff. I mean, we generally couldn't fix it ourselves, and we used to actually call you
20 years ago.
20
yes.
years ago, and we used to have, so we had it, it was a contract service.
Right.
Okay. So now, I mean, computers have become everything now. And of course, it's the only way to work. Um, and so that's what prompted us many years ago to hire Ross directly. And now, because of the volume of machines and software and all this other stuff, we need additional help. Um, and we've looked at that. I guess the one thing we have not done, and that is probably try to stay a little more current with what the wage for those positions should be. That's what I'm seeing here. Um, that's
Yeah, and if you
So-
want to know what the actual prevailing wage what back then was for consulting fee was, it was $110 an hour for consulting fee,
Right.
and now it's between 150 and $200 an hour that you would pay a consultant to come in and do this work.
Supervisor Haskey, question?
Well, I want to comment about help desk. Ross knew me from 40 years ago when I used to have the help desk contract for a company called Sage Peachtree Software.
You were a
That
computer
company used to
specialist?
pay me $35 just to answer the phone and $5 an hour for $5 a minute for every minute I was on the phone. And I had so many calls that I had 2 staff members dedicated to helping me with phone lines. And we're talking 22 years ago, I sold the company off, but at that point, my employees were making 40 some thousand dollars for helping me as a help desk person. So I think you're underestimating what Peachtree or any kind of accounting people or info people actually get paid for working on software, making it do what you need it to do. Because I could answer most questions in a minute where somebody might spend 2 hours for it. So it was still worth it to pay me the $35 than to figure it all day long and try to do it.
Supervisor Poppy?
Um, the only question I have is, so if we change this tonight, then 3 months down the road, if we look at the pay plan, we're gonna change it again.
Well, I'm not sure what the future holds as far as the current pay plan. I know what this information is today, meaning that this is what a help desk person would make on average for our peer counties. And this dollar amount is more in the private sector as well. It's a lot higher, but for counties, this is what the average would be paying. I mean, you know, to try to in the future try to hire a help desk specialist if we had to in the future and not pay this range, it would be very difficult to try to find somebody.
Of course, in that average, that's why I ask, the counties. I mean, some of them are certainly smaller, but then we have Brown, Outagamie.
Right.
These are
And if
very,
you
very,
if you look at the step one of this new pay plan, it's still below average. So we're paying what I'll call Kewaunee wages, because we can't compete with Door and Brown and Manitowoc and Outagamie and those counties. They're just bigger and they have a larger tax base than we do. But where this would be starting would be a fair wage for Kewaunee County.
Chair.
yes, sorry, I was doing a little quick math here. Go ahead.
I guess just to get back onto Supervisor Poppy's point here, I think the confusion here is that what we're looking at here is establishing a step plan scale for this
Correct.
help desk position.
Right.
Okay,
And then the GIS will
that's
come,
that's a
yes, that's
a-
separate,
that's
but
a separate issue, and it's a person that we're going to be putting into. We'll have to set that wage where it falls on whatever scale it is.
it will
That's
be, it will be somewhat confused though, because, the person that this person will be doing the GIS position. And so then how are
As well
you?
as help desk.
Yes,
They're both.
so, this committee is going to have to sort out what percent of the position, correct, is going to be.
That is what we would come, January, February timeframe with a different pay scale for basically a merger position, if you want to call that. I didn't want to confuse the waters tonight, but we are planning on merging this position, but we don't know when that'll happen. Right now, we have a time frame from September 1st of 2021 to April 1st of 2022. So we don't know when this individual, Steve Hansen, will retire, or he may decide to stay another year. We don't know that. In the meantime, uh, we still need to address the help desk position as it stands by itself. Does that make
Supervisor Ramdan.
Just a couple of things. First of all, in Scott's memo here about this misunderstanding about this position, I don't think since October, since we started the budget process, that we've addressed anything with this help desk person besides adding on what the pay increase may or may not be if he took over the GIS program. That's the only thing I remember discussing.
I would agree with that.
this position.
I don't remember this either.
Okay.
well?
Second,
And
secondly,
if I could clarify,
Oh.
In September, when we basically came discussing the new merger position, and that we were going to move the help desk into the new help desk / GIS coordinator position. And then Administrator Felt wanted to do that as of January 1st, which this committee felt, well, if he's not doing the job January 1st, why are we paying him for the new position? So what we ended up doing was we somewhat tabled that and say, let's wait till Steve retires and then we'll take that up again. And then what I asked is if we could just, at that point, I simply asked, can we make an adjustment then to the help desk specialist position because of its wage being below average?
Secondly,
There was discussion there during that, and then there was training.
I don't remember you asking that. I mean, some of these comments, I don't remember. You might have talked to Scott about it, but I don't know if you talked to this board about it.
I just reviewed the video from the meeting, so that's what
No, then I missed it.
Supervisor Ramdan.
just to get back on what we're talking about, these counties that you surveyed, do you know how many people work in the IT departments, and do you have job descriptions? Compare our help desk person to what the same wage person in another county would be?
I don't have descriptions. What I did is basically described what my individual did and what position do you have that holds that position. And they say that would be our help desk, or that would be our they had a lot of different counties had different names for it, but it held the same job duties as what our current position held. And then those are the numbers that I gathered.
Can I ask, you said that Scott had you grab 3 counties that were similar to us?
Yes.
What were those 3 counties average
He gave
that were
me
similar to us
What were the
without
counties?
the other counties?
yeah, he gave me Washera, Green Lake, Iowa, Jackson, and Wapaka. Those were the ones that he gave me. And then I added Vernon, Grant, and all of the other ones.
And what were those 3 or 4 that, what were
So-
their average?
So Wapaka's actually 2620 an hour starting. Dodge was, well, no, not Dodge. Washera was 2606. Iowa was 2046. Vernon was 2257. Grant was 2141.
Do you have Jackson?
Jackson is a low county. That's $20.15.
Jackson is about our size.
What was it? What was Jackson?
$20.15. And our comparables, Brown County was 2546, Manitowoc was 2183, Marinette was 2371, Oconto 2202, Calumet 2258.
Few things you can do here tonight, folks. You can do nothing. You can adopt this the recommended pay plan. You can table it to study it further, or you could put it off and combine it with the GIS position, since you'll be taking that up later, though that could be a little bit messier. But Supervisor Wagner.
I move that we establish this new step plan scale for the help desk position. The step 1 starting at 2233.
Second by
I'll second.
Supervisor Haskey. Discussion? Supervisor Yonke.
I would like to see like population counties only in the survey.
So you're recommending, so you want to see this tabled until we can get that? Is that what you're going to vote?
We
Or-
see, they're using counties that have, double and triple the population.
Microphone, please. I can't hear.
I can hear him, I'm sorry, but yeah, if you could you repeat that a little louder, please, Supervisor Yonke?
What part?
I don't think I don't think he heard any of it.
Use the microphone.
There you go.
Can
If
hear
you,
me?
if you get real close to it.
I can hear
some of
you,
these
but he
microphones have
can't,
to-
so I don't know what to tell you. Try to speak as loud as you can. Can you hear me okay? What he's saying is that he would like to have light population counties similar, those who are similar in our size, what they are paying, and get a more precise, a more focused comparison. And so what he is requesting is that we would get more apples to apples comparison prior to adopting, correct?
Yes.
You heard that? All right. I don't know, his microphone isn't as loud, but anyway, sorry. Other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I think instead of looking at population, we need to look at what this person is going to bring to the county. If your software is down and you have staff struggling for hours trying to figure it out, and you can bring somebody in that knows their stuff that can fix it in a short period of time, it pays for itself. And it shouldn't matter how big the county is. It's, do they know their stuff and can they fix our stuff?
Any other discussion?
I do-
Supervisor Kroll?
I would like to compare kind of the counties. I think, yeah, I get it that if your software's down, but we also have
Okay,
to look at the
so
size of our county.
if that's the desire, you have one of two options. You can either make a motion to table that we would,
You got a
Yes.
motion on the floor.
The motion on the floor now.
yes, but you can, there
There's no
can,
second on it yet.
there is a second. There's a second over here. So,
Okay.
so you could either defeat this motion, make another motion. If there's no further discussion, I'm going to move to a vote. Any other discussion? So the motion before you is to adopt the recommended plan that has been given to you. That would have the step one is $22.33 an hour. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay. Opposed.
Show of hands, all those in favor, put your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to break the tie against the motion so that we will collect. Well, I guess that's not the motion. If there is a further motion to get a more concise, more specific information, we could take that up.
I would make that motion.
Supervisor Yonke moves that we get further information comparing counties more akin to ours. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Romden. Any discussion of that motion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
2 against. Motion passes. So we will have that information by next month?
Yeah.
Who's collecting that information?
That would be me.
Okay, so next month. So we'll get to revisit this again.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're gonna do something.
We'll get it straight.
We're just not known for making quick decisions. We will get it taken care of. And this is not to say that this plan here, that these steps won't be where we end up. I just think that there's the reason that I broke the tie the way that I did is that I think that there is a desire to, have further information and look at that more closely. And so for that reason, I'm willing to see this continue. Broadband expansion grant application, discussion on that.
Mr. Felt did provide that to you in your materials. We did make the application. I don't know what more he wanted to add on that point. They were submitted on December 1st. I think the timeline is normal. Last time was about March timeframe that we found out. I think it was March. Last time it was early March, I think they released the decision. So that's, what was the dollar amount on this grant again? So,
It's a big one.
yeah, total project cost $4 million roughly. I think that broke out to about approximately Bug Tussle or Hilbert Communications, 400,000 in cash. The loan that we'd provide them, 1.2 million. Is this right here? I think PSC 1.4. How does this add up here? Hilbert provides 400. Partnership joint venture with Kewaunee loan 1.2. So I think we would be loaning $2.2 million. They would provide 400 cash, and the PSC grant would be 1.4. So that should add up to approximately 4 million. 1.4 plus 2.8. Excuse me, 2.2 is 3.6 plus 400. Yep. So a loan of 2.2 from us, 400 from Bug Tussle, and a $1.4 million grant from PSC. And this is to provide a fiber backbone, at least a part of it. So they want to put this fiber backbone to all these towers, because you need obviously that internet capability to get to these towers to make the thing work. It'll work, but this provides that strength in the backbone, the extra current you need, the data, if you will. And they broke what they need to do ultimately into 2 projects. This will be the first of the fiber projects, which they estimated to be approximately $4 million. So we will see.
Yeah, so it would help, further support, further improve high-speed internet accessibility. And this is just the grant application. This is not uh, the details, the final details we would be able to argue about before we would, go ahead if we receive the grant. But I think that everybody understands this is the shutdowns and everybody working at home has really exasperated our situation here with the internet capacity in the county. So it's a good project if it goes. Any questions on that broadband? Yes, sir. Supervisor Romden.
Basically, what we're approving is, or agreeing to, is that we're authorizing the county to submit a grant application. That's as
yes.
far as we're going at this
That's
point.
that's it. Yes. If we received the grant, if we were awarded a grant, then we would have to work out those exact details, just like we did last time. But if that grant money is available and if we were able to get some, well, like last time, that would be something we would definitely want to look at.
Just so at some point in time where the county is not in the broadband business.
No, no. Well, we're not in the broadband business now. It's other questions.
I can't report on the existing grant project. I think they were working on 7 towers. As I understand it, they've located or secured leases on 5 of the 7 sites. The one outstanding site off the top of my head was Tish Mills, and I can't remember what the other site is, but they're still working on finding sites in those 2 locations. But it sounds like they're moving forward. So
Yes.
on those.
Yes. It'll be, but the application, what is it, 120 days from the time that they put in the not 90, it's 120 before they can actually start construction.
process,
So,
yes.
so that's, the government gives out all of these wonderful grants and then they make you wait this length of time before you can actually start construction. But that's the system. Any other questions on the broadband? All right, we will move on to the housing study.
I don't have a lot of report on this. Mr. Feld did provide that report in your materials. Did you? He emailed it out with the packet.
I think it was amended, wasn't it?
Maybe that's it.
I can forward that. It was put together by Bay Lakes Regional Planning Commission.
Was the question was, is this the original? Were there changes made?
I only have the one I
Because it says
received.
final report. What does that imply?
The one I received was in an email dated December. I'll check that. I think it was from last week. He sent that over to me. And the report I have. Just says Kewaunee County Housing Study.
Says adopted, revised. Say that underneath the one you have, Mr. Chairman.
Where does it say that?
Would that be the second page right underneath the picture of the state? It says adopted, revised,
Reserved.
Or adopted, reserved.
reserved.
Adopted, reserved. I don't know what that means. I'm just wondering. Because I don't know what final means.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
would it be
Supervisor.
possible for a final copy of that document to be provided to all the board members at the next county board meeting? And then a presentation made on it at that meeting?
Hard copy you were
Yeah.
asking? Sure, we can do that. You'll put that request into us, Mr. Felt? Yes, presentation. And what would you like in that presentation?
Just basically what it says, I don't need a half-hour presentation, but,
Well,
the
Ms.
down and dirty.
Supervisor Romden, if you could get less than a half-hour presentation, I'll be really impressed.
I guess, are we saying, are we gonna get Bay Lake's copy or are we gonna get an adjusted copy?
whatever the final document is supposed to be, that's what we should have.
Yeah, I don't know. why there's different versions, or if there's different versions, I will report to Mr. Felt that you want a hard copy and a presentation.
Well, I don't know if we need a presentation specifically. If he could review the highlights, I don't know that we have to have Bay Lake show up for it.
Okay. And you want that,
But if we could get that with our county board
January?
packet, an opportunity to review it, then if we have any questions for the administrator, we can ask him at that county board meeting.
Would January meeting be okay for that?
Sure,
Because we're trying to limit the reports in December.
exactly.
Okay. Any other questions on the housing report? It doesn't sound like there's been a lot of attention given to this. It was just received, so. And I guess that's, as Supervisor Romden said, report, I guess my ultimate question would be, and that was kind of the question I had when we started that venture like 18 months ago or something, is, well, what are we going to, what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do about it? What it tells us, that, where are you going? Okay. Chairman's report, just a reminder, it's Christmas time, and apparently it's the season for scams. So if you've gotten an email from me telling you to send me gift cards, don't send them to the address that you received. If you want to send me gift cards to my personal address, the correct one, you're welcome to. But I did not send out an email to you soliciting gift cards. And if you look, and this is good advice that Ross gave, is that check the email, because it's not my email. Did you want to say anything further on that, Ross?
Just whenever you receive something like that, it's always better to check with the person that's sending. Did you mean to send this to me? Call them. If any of those type of information, and usually in the header of the email, it tells you exactly who it's being from. It may say Dan Olson, but it says a different address. It'll say, some weird, strange address that, it's not coming from Kewaunee.co.org. It's coming from something else. So I think if you get a formal request from anybody, any chairman or chairperson or committee member, and it's not coming from their Kewaunee CO address, it's not them.
Obviously, these, are government accounts, so they're very, very public. And so a lot of access, I guess. And I still don't know what the point of the one was, telling everybody to call me. I appreciate all of the phone calls, but you didn't need to go through the trouble, I guess. So that was the only thing that I had. And if you haven't gotten in your reservations for the after the meeting on December 15th for dinner, and you are intending to do that, definitely plan on getting those in. It's catered this time, so that's a good deal. And there will not be a cash bar, because of, we needed to get a liquor license, and apparently, I guess there was, Supervisor Teskey kind of had a little bit of a problem with that. So I said that, it's Christmas time, so I offered to just buy wine for everyone. And with this group, I told her to buy a lot of bottles.
What if you don't like wine?
I'll bring, what kind of beer you like? I'm going to bring some beer too.
Can you bring your own booze?
He's got
I won't supply you hard liquor. I can't be running a full bar here.
No,
but-
can you bring your own booze?
Oh, you could bring your own booze, yes, but I was going to bring some beer too. I figure in this area, the cheapest swill I can find. Miller Lite, right? So I'll bring some Miller Lite too. I think I'm allowed to do that, right?
Whatever you want, Mr. Chair.
I like to hear that. Was there another question on that? Okay. I don't know what kind of wine it is. I didn't. I told Supervisor Teskey to just pick it out, and I probably should have given her a price line, but we'll see what I get for a bill on that. All right. Next meeting should be. Yes.
I have a question concerning when I was looking at the housing study here, and they were doing estimates for population, 2040 and things. Um, there was a census taken,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be. Do we have a time frame for when there may be or would be any recalculating of our districts?
Yeah,
Because I think that would have to be done before next December.
yeah,
I know it's
next,
a long
or the
time,
next election.
but
That process should be coming up. I don't have any dates in front of me, but that process should be coming up. Typically, what happened last time is the state put together this software program and they basically trained the various counties and municipalities how to use it. And then they provided us with the data. I think Steve Hansen headed up that effort last time, and that's why these maps came from. So you come up with this tool, and then a lot of it is we start with what we started with, and then you go from there. So then it's up to you to tinker with the lines and so forth to make the numbers match. What you have to do is you have to make your districts equal roughly the same population per district, and there's a set of guidelines they give you in terms of making them compact and respecting municipal boundaries and so on and so forth. But that will be coming out. It's usually a whole process, and I'm sure that's going to be. It's got to be this year.
I can answer. I know Steve Hansen has brought that to my attention, and it looks like early fall is when we would start that process, probably August to September timeframe.
because it has to be completed and finished before December 1st. Because that's when papers go out for
Right.
the following year's election for supervisors. So those districts and lines have to all be drawn and everything has to be, everybody's got to know where everything is prior to December 1st. So let's not think that we have yet. It has to be completed by November,
Mhm.
before
Okay.
November. So just
All right. Yeah, good point. All right. Next meeting would be January 4th, right? And that would be at 6 o'clock again. And here. We need a motion for that? Supervisor Wagner? Supervisor Kroll, second. All in favor? Signify. Aye. All opposed? Passes. Motion to adjourn, Supervisor Wagner, Supervisor Augustine, second. All in favor? Signify.